Thanks, Amy. Amy and I played 9 holes of golf yesterday, and she ate pains all over it. Nearly as bad as I was at the beginning of World War II. Your question is very appropriate, considering the problems that we're now experiencing in Afghanistan. And I think that we need to look back to our entry into World War II and some of the attitudes that we had. I recall very vividly. I was 19 years of age. The war was ongoing in Europe. England was being bombed daily by the Germans, buzz bombs and fighter aircraft. And we were, of course, providing them support through ammunition and logistics. But our entry really hadn't occurred at that time. It wasn't until the attack on Pearl Harbor that we, as a nation, really became involved with troops. And I think that that's when it really came home to me, because as a young man, the day after the war began, or the day after President Roosevelt declared war on Japan, I went to the recruiting station with the promise that I wouldn't enlist until after the 1st of January, which would have been 1942. And they arranged for me to leave on the 2nd of January. So I was on my way to the war, and I think it was not unlike that experience by most young men my age. I think that it was just natural that all of us were going to enter the war. There wasn't any hesitation. Without exception, I would say that we were all motivated to get in the service and do the best job we could and to bring about an early peace. And I think that as we look back on it, we weren't reckless. We were really patriotic, and we felt that we had a just reason for entering the war.
What theater were you in?
I entered the Marine Corps, and of course the Marines were blessed with wet feet, so they sent us to the Pacific. We could spend our time out of the swamps. That's joking, of course. But it is true that my time overseas during World War II was spent in the Pacific area. I did have 6 months in Hawaiian Islands before we went south to the New Hebrides Islands, and there into the Russell Islands, and then in on the Bougainville landing in November of 1944. That tour of duty overseas concluded in Bougainville in 1944. I mistook. 1943 we landed in Bougainville, and I returned from Bougainville in 1944. We came back through Guadalcanal and then returned to the States aboard a troop ship. Aircraft was something that we didn't ride too much in. It was always a slow boat.
Were you exposed to any enemy action in Bougainville?
Yes, for about 4 months in the early part of 1944, the Japanese shelled the 3 airfields that we were operating in Bougainville. At that time, the American forces were trying to neutralize Rabaul, which was a very large Japanese naval base in the South Pacific area. We were equipped with SBD aircraft and TDF aircraft, as well as F-4U fighter aircraft. All Marines, and we're flying both our bombing runs and our torpedo runs to knock out their airfields there, as well as all of the naval facilities. So the Japanese, of course, were trying to deal us some trouble by shelling us throughout our major effort against Rabaul. And so we had just that much of the island that we needed to conduct our air operations, and the Japanese had guns ringed around the mountains where they could look down into our airfield area. And of course, we did get back at them. We used our dive bombers on their gun positions and ultimately silenced them, but it took us about 3 or 4 months.
Now on the other side, did you have any entertainment at all, like Bob Hope's Christmas tours or anything like that?
From time to time, the USO shows would show up on the island, and yes, among those was Bob Hope's show. And the seat I had was a coconut log, and I was far enough away, you know, that Bob didn't come through too close to me. But we did, from time to time, have those types of shows on the island. Bougainville is a tropical island that had very little population on it. I would say that probably in the area that we held, the natives didn't number any more than 200.
Is the weather really bad there?
The weather, of course, was rainy during those seasons, but our greatest entertainment, I suppose, were the earthquakes. We were located close to a volcano, which was not too active, but it was active. And I would say that on the rate of 1 a week, we'd have tremors. One of the other fears that we had was the trees were mahogany trees, and enormous. And where we had cut away a lot of the brush and smaller trees from under them, we created a problem of them toppling in high winds, and we did have high winds from time to time. We soon learned that we should leave the jungle built as it was, because it did create real danger to us from these enormous trees that fell.
Were there a lot of diseases around? Did a lot of people die from diseases during?
I don't recall anyone being exposed to any diseases that were not a common disease, you know, that we experience today, common colds and the like. Some of the other islands in the South Pacific had diseases like elephantitis and the like, that malaria, yes. But our troops were exposed to it, but Bougainville was not an area that had a good deal of disease.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to interview my mother about how she felt about it when she was a teenager. Were you when the war had started and when all the men started going out there?
I guess I was about 16, and it was exciting, as all teenagers know, when your brothers and uncles go off to war and the country's at war. You want to do your best to be patriotic. This was everything. Patriotism. We believed in our country. We want to do everything for our country, to preserve our country, and to keep the foreigners away from our soil.
What did you do to help out with the war effort?
Well, being in high school, you can't do too much, but you help in the victory gardens, because that was to let the older women go into the factories and help and do war work. They volunteered at hospitals, and because our men were gone, and they were away, they were fighting, they were preparing, they were protecting us. And this was pretty exciting, but we knitted socks if we could knit, or crochet, because the men always seemed to need socks. In Germany, it was the cold weather. I know my brother was in Germany, Battle of the Bulge. He needed warm socks. This was one thing, because it was so cold. It was wintertime. My other brother contacted malaria in New Guinea. But the big thing was writing letters to the boys. If you knew of anyone, whether it was a relative or a friend, you wrote letters to keep up their morale. We had to keep their morale up, and it kept our morale up too.
Okay, thank you.